Welcome back, everybody, for episode 47 of the Triathlon Preview Show.
Hi, everyone.
So we're back here again after Ironman Arizona. We can go over our picks we had.
Oh, that's right. I forgot we did the picks.
Yeah, we had picks. We can start with the men. And my epic fail of I went Jacob, Sanders, McMahon, and you went McMahon, Sanders, and Gambles.
Yeah, Gambles wasn't too bad. He was at least in the top 10, I think.
Yeah, like 6 or 7, I think.
Yeah. Oh, Pedro, I think Pedro Gomes, the local resident, was 6th. I think Gambles might have been 7th or something like that. But yeah. And then Jacobs did not have a good race. It was not the good Jacobs. It was the not so good Jacobs.
The normal Jacobs. Yeah, and then the top 3 was the same as last year.
Yep, the exact same. And obviously, Lionel Sanders killed it and set I'll say in quotes, a world record. I mean, I don't really know what that means when you're on different courses. Like, it's hard to say, but a very fast Ironman time, let's say that. He actually, it's a 2-loop run course, so I was on like almost mile 13 and he was just coming around to go to the finish line. And the Ironman officials were in a golf cart next to him, screaming at him to run through the tape to make sure, like, don't slow down, because he was on pace to break a world record. So they were going a bit nutso. Like, this guy on the side of the road was like running all over the place, and then he hopped in the golf cart. This is just what I observed when I was like at mile 13. So,
as a USAT official, I think we should DQ him after the fact then.
Well, they weren't around him that long. They just like pulled up. The guy was on the side of the road, and then they were like, keep going, go. So it wasn't like they were pacing him or anything. And to be honest, he didn't really acknowledge them much. I think he was in the hurt box.
So. Yeah. So the women we had, okay, we'll start with myself. I had Kessler, Nathan, Danielle Mack, and then you had Nath, Van Leerken, and Kessler.
Yeah, which Angela Nath, as everyone saw, biked really well, and then had a foot issue and limped off the course. So don't know what's going on there. And then it was basically Yvonne trying to chase Meredith down, and my husband was there, and he said, like, Yvonne worked really hard to kind of get within 3 minutes of her, and then her progress just kind of stalled. And so it stayed the same. And then Melindy Elmore, not surprisingly, she still holds Stanford school records for running, and she ended up 3rd. So, and then Ruth Brennan Morey had the fastest run of the day, not surprising either, and ended up 4th. So, good
Not
day.
bad. And then Emily finished 9th in her first Ironman.
I did. I finished 9th. Get a little paycheck. It was painful but good. I didn't smile much during the race. My husband kept saying, "You should be more positive," and I'm like, I'm not negative. I just didn't have the energy to muster anything up but like a blank stare. But yeah, it was tough. Like, it definitely starts to bite towards the end of the run. That's for sure. But I remember being at mile 16 and thinking, oh, only like 10 more miles. That's so little compared to how far I've already gone. So, wasn't too bad. But I enjoyed it. And I'm happy I did it. So that's good.
All right, let's move on to the racing this weekend. First, we want to thank Rudy Project for always supporting us.
Yep, another year with Rudy Project. So if they're having sales and all sorts of stuff. So if you have things to buy for Christmas presents, try Preview.
All right, let's start with the Ironman of the weekend. We have Ironman Cozumel with a decent start list.
Yeah, I mean, Arizona always gets a strong start list, and Cozumel, because they're kind of the 2 races after Kona. So you get people who are, I guess, making up if they had a not good Kona, and then also people who are getting their validation or whatever, getting some points for next year started. and kind of piggybacking on the fitness that they had for Kona or kind of all year. So you always tend to get a strong field, and we have that again for sure. We should probably note who we don't think is there on the men's side. We're going to talk about the men first, right?
Yeah, we can talk about the men.
Yeah, I don't think Tim Don is racing. Sounded like he was done after the 70.3 in China. I think that's like the only one I know for sure. I doubt Thomas Gerlach is there because he was in Arizona last week.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I know for sure. I'm pretty sure Tim Don is not racing.
All right. Well, the start list still has some pretty big names between Frederick Van Leerd, Matt Russell. I saw something. This is like his 7th Ironman of the year or something.
I don't know how he does that. And he was second here last year, and he had a solid Kona. I think wasn't he like 12th, which is really good. So I think he'll be up near the front mixing it up. I think Frederick Van Leerd wasn't too happy with his Kona. Didn't he get a penalty? He's probably doing a little bit of a makeup type thing. Mikey Weiss wasn't that great in Kona. Like he was going for that the bike course record, and then on that new bike, and then it just didn't go well. So, and he's won this race before, I believe, a couple years ago, maybe 2014. So he always tends to go back. The one person I'm curious to see how he does is Chris Lefferman. He won Austin when it was a
bike run.
Yes, a bike run. And then he won his first Ironman, I think, at Mont Blanc. So he's a good runner. So if he does well in the heat, he can definitely capitalize on probably some meltdowns.
Mikey Weiss has actually won this 2013 and 2014. And
Okay.
then he was 3rd last year.
Okay. Yep. And then Kevin Collington had a somewhat, I think, disappointing Kona. I don't think he might have DNF'd. So this is kind of a comeback race, and look out for him. We didn't talk about the course at this race. It is a point-to-point swim, so it's usually pretty fast because I think they put you with the current.
Yeah.
So you don't get the breakups in the swim. It's kind of like Chattanooga. Everyone gets a free ride, so to speak. And then also both the bike and the run courses are 3 loops, so they get pretty busy, especially on the bike. It's going to get busy, and I think the only thing that it's the wind and the heat on the bike that kind of can break things up, but they're going to be overtaking athletes all day except for the first loop.
Yeah, it's interesting that we have Jared Shoemaker on the list taking his first Ironman start.
Yeah,
hasn't done too well in 70.3s yet.
No, yeah, and I think the bike is still definitely a work in progress for him. He is a good runner, but I think he's kind of lacking a bit of strength on the bike, and then I'm sure that affects his run. And then this is going to be a really hot run. I mean, similar to Oklahoma City, he did the race in Oklahoma City, so he definitely got a taste of it. It's going to be hard. Like, I know he's probably done an Ironman build, but that kind of thing takes years, right? So, I mean, he was focusing on Olympic distance non-draft until the middle of this year. So if he's going to get good at Ironman, I think the learning curve will be sharp. But I don't think he's like necessarily going to nail this one as far as like get top 5 or something like that. But he could surprise us. But his bike is definitely the weak point. I mean, his swim, given that like he's second or third pack at ITU, but in these kind of races, that's a good swimmer. So he'll be up there, out of the water, I think.
Let's see here. Who else we have? The Brazilian, Igor Armarelli.
Yep. Yep, he's always good. And then also number 9, Guillermo Macchiato or Monchico or however you say it. Someone to look out for. And you know who else is on the list that I just noticed is Stephen Bayless. He has not raced for a long time. I thought he was married. He's married to Bella Bayless, who used to be Bella Comfort, and she was on Triceto, and I think she still coaches for Triceto. But he's
a good swimmer, isn't he?
I mean, he's a good everything. Like he's definitely won some Ironmans, and just interested to see if he's actually racing and kind of what kind of shape he's in. Because if he's in good shape, he's a good athlete. And Barrett Brandon is another one you'll see up near the front out of the swim, and he's had some good runs in the heat, like a couple years ago at not a couple years ago, last year at Coeur d'Alene. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes as well. So you want to do picks and see?
Sure, we'll do picks because they can't get any worse. So,
yeah.
Okay, I'll go first, and I'll go with Frederick Van Leerd, Matt Russell, Kevin Collington.
Okay. I'm going to go Van Leerd, Russell as well, and then the guy from Hungary, Major, number 6. He's a good runner. So we'll see. And that, someone like could surprise us as number 24, like Scott D. Philippus.
He's a good runner.
Good runner, smaller framed guy. That'll give up some time, obviously, on a flat bike, but when it gets so hot like it is in Cozumel, I mean, people blow up epically. So if you just kind of keep plodding along, and he doesn't plod, obviously, when he runs really well. He's someone who could move up.
All right, let's move on to the women's side with some big names. I think Vesterby is racing this one instead of the Arizona.
Yeah, she seems relaxed. Like I've seen a lot of pictures of her going on bike rides and then having a cocktail afterwards. So, interested, is she just kind of validating because she was 6th in Kona? She'd be fine for points for next year. She just needs to validate. So how focused is she on really going into her box? Like, where is that kind of motivation? Or is this like a nice vacation, do a race type thing?
Yep. Nath is on the start list, but we assume I would assume that she's probably not racing. But she didn't finish the race either. She didn't do the hardest part. So
no, but she was limping around everywhere. My husband saw her after the race on the main drag, and she was limping pretty badly. So I can't imagine she's gonna be like, oh yeah, jet down to Cozumel and try it again. But who knows? Amanda Stevens is not racing, and that's all I really know. And then you got Camilla Peterson, who had a disappointing Kona coming back. She broke her collarbone, I think, in the middle of the year.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So, I might have like a better kind of race and be motivated to really put in a good effort. Corinna Abraham as well is someone, and she's won here. So I think she won last year.
She won last year.
Yeah, and I checked her Instagram today just to confirm because she's also on the list for Uruguay. So I wanted to see where she was racing, and she's definitely racing in Cozumel, and she looks fit and ready to go. So, her race in Austin wasn't that great. So we'll see how her health is and stuff. She's had some injury and sickness type issues.
Interested to understand why Lauren Brandon picked this race. I think
over doing.
I don't know anything else. I mean, even Arizona, I guess. I just feel like her best sport is gone.
Oh yeah, because of the
swim. I mean, like it's going to be hard to get away from people on this swim course.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think she'll get a little bit of a gap, but it's definitely not. It will not be what it usually is. That's for sure. And you know, she kind of melted down in the heat in Texas a little bit. So she's got another, Ironman build on her legs. So we'll see how she goes. But that her race plan is she has to get a big lead on the swim of the bike and then hang on the run. Like her run is not her strong point. So she's going to have to run relatively well in the heat and hope that others behind her don't, and hang on. I mean, I can see her. I mean, she could be first off the bike, that's for sure, because Nath is not there. But I don't know what's going to happen on the run. And then Rachel McBride is another one doing an Ironman debut, and she's riding that new Diamondback bike, which they don't allow discs at that race, but you can ride that bike, which looks like a disc. So
she had a good Oklahoma City race.
Yeah, third. And she biked solidly and ran well. And moved up on the run. So I would look out for her. As I experienced last week, there's definitely a difference between the long distance worlds and the Ironman distance. Those extra 30 some miles on the bike and then having to run a marathon, it's big. So she'll find out. It'll be fun. Those are kind of all Celine Shearer of Switzerland, number 58. She's a strong swim biker, so look for her to be kind of up near the front. And Amber Ferreira from the United States is another very strong athlete. She'll be a bit behind on the swim, but then can move up on the bike and the run too. So, but I mean, it's just a question of where Corinne Abraham is, Camilla Peterson, Michelle Besterby. I kind of see them to be the ones to battle it out. Rachel McBride, if she has a good race.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think those three are definitely the top three, just depending on where they at in their current fitness level.
Yeah. Because it's the last race of the season, so you're either super motivated or all you want to do is just get it done and lay on the beach. And at the same time, maybe that relaxed attitude leads to a good race. Just don't know. So I guess we kind of just did our picks, but do you want to do it officially?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll throw something crazy in there.
Okay. I'm going to go Peterson, Abraham, Vesterby.
Okay, I'm going to go Peterson, Vesterby, and Rachel McBride.
Ooh, all right. Rachel's a tough chick, man. I don't doubt that she could pull that off. All right. So we have a couple 70.3s, which we'll kind of mention real quickly. Western Sydney, kind of just what I noticed on the start list was Dan Wilson on the men's side, who, ITU guy, doing a 70.3. And then on the women's side, you got Annabelle Luxford and Melanie McQuaid and Andrea Forrest, and then another ITU gal, Natalie Van Coburden. So yeah, that's one down in Sydney. And then
Thailand, which is the former challenge race.
Yeah, and it's a low points, low money race. Michael Raylert, they run the Olympic kind of distance this past weekend, and Michael Raylert won that. He's going to be racing the 70.3. And then the women's side, the field was pretty light, but you had Emma Plott and oh gosh, I can't remember who else. They're still keeping the tough course, which is good to see. They didn't change that too much. And then women pros, you have Dimity Lee Duke, who I believe trains there, and then Lucy Charles, the really good swimmer. She also did well at Lanzarote. whatever, the Ironman. So look out for her. She'll be leading out of the swim. That's for sure. And then Uruguay. Matt Hansen is doing Uruguay, 70.3.
Yep. And then I think, right, like you said, Krim Abraham's on that list, but she's not racing that.
Yeah, no. And then I know the Wassner twins are heading down there, Kirsty John, and you know, you got Ariane Monticelli. I think Leslie Smith is on the list, but it looks like she is in the middle of off season, so I don't think she's racing. But flat and fast course, so see how that goes.
All right. Well, we want to thank everybody for joining us again this weekend.
Yeah, and I think we'll be back next week to talk about the Cartagena race in Colombia and Western Australia, Ironman.
All right. Everybody have a great holiday weekend.
Yep, happy Thanksgiving if you are in the United States. Talk to you later.